Hi, I'm Karen Cole, Director of Safety and Training for MCIA, with the Trade Association for the trade side of 2, 3 and 4 wheel vehicles, mostly lightweight vehicles, including powered two-wheelers, which are mopeds, scooters and motorcycles. I'm going to talk to you a bit about today about the powered two-wheelers and the safe system approach, whether it's working for us or how we can change things. So we hear a lot about Vision Zero, and whether you believe that zero is achievable or whether you think aiming for zero is more realistic, one thing seems to be certain. The safe system approach is the most used method to try to reach the ambition of zero road deaths. So has this had an effect on powered two-wheel riders? Next slide. There seems to be a few variations of the safe system approach, but this is probably my preferred safe system diagram. It's simple, it shows the principles which are clear, but still it can be and is interpreted in so many different ways. Interpreted as intended, it will help protect all road users from harm, which is obviously what we're all aiming for. But I do find that often it's made to fit preconceived ideas and it's not always applied inclusively. So the perfect inclusive circle here will reduce risk for everybody, or does it? So next slide, please. If we look back to 2005, before the safe system approach was well known, David Jameson, who was an MP, currently the Parliamentary Under Secretary of State, he championed a call for the motorcycle strategy, following a big rise in powered two-wheeler casualties. In the early 2000s, there were a lot of people using sports motorcycles who maybe didn't quite have the skills to match the capabilities of the machines. And David was concerned about the number of casualties, and he decided he was going to do something, and the government's motorcycle strategy was developed. He highlighted the need to mainstream motorcycling, and therefore he began the process of trying to include powered two-wheelers of all kinds in transport policy and strategy. And I think that's what the point I'm trying to make with this. Although this is a single strategy for motorcycling, it was the added step to actually integrate motorcycle into transport policy, which was the key to this, and sort of in some way is the beginning of a safe system approach, really, including everybody within the transport policy. The strategy itself had quite some success, but unfortunately when it sort of timed out and the actions were met, it wasn't renewed. So really we're no further forward now than we were then. We've not had a strategy since, and we've not had any specific actions and aims since. So what's happening now? What might change, and how will the safe system help riders? Next slide, please. I'm picking on this, and it's just one example because it's probably the most recent example that we've had. My comments are not intended to denigrate the contents of this comprehensive report by any means. It's merely to illustrate my point. The expert authors of this document, many of whom I've had the pleasure of working with and who I know and respect, are all better qualified than I am. And in fact, I've learnt a lot from them during meetings and presentations. And I can't argue with the content of the document and the calls made to government. But my observation is that the foreword of this document confirms that the 32-page report is based on safe system solutions. But there is not one mention, not one word, motorcycle, motorbike, moped, powered two-wheeler in the whole document. Even e-scooters get a mention in the safe vehicles section, where it says achieving safe vehicles of all kinds, from cycles, e-scooters, cars, vans to large good vehicles and buses, is pivotal to a safe system. And whilst I'd agree with that, I very much think that there should have been at least one mention of motorcycles, mopeds or scooters in there. I mean, for balance, sometimes we take the opposite approach. I've been involved in contributing to several reports that concentrate only on powered two-wheelers, and that's not a safe system approach either. But it's what I know about, it's what I'm comfortable with, and it's very much a standalone thing for motorcycles and not for everybody else. Almost like the government strategy that I mentioned earlier, which had it been updated and continued with, would hopefully have been built more into overall transport strategies for all the different modes. But to get back to the point, When the safe system is applied, surely powered two-wheelers should be within there. So why might we have been excluded? Is it because people think they should be taken off the road? Are powered two-wheelers just considered too difficult, so they're ignored? Or perhaps they're just forgotten? Or it's difficult to know. Then there's also this new introduction of healthy mobility. Has that sidelined powered two-wheelers in some way? I'd like to think not, and DFT certainly don't seem to think so, as it appears they're now considered part of the transport mix in the future. Next slide, please. So healthy mobility, it's obvious if you live in central London, there's plenty of choice for safe and healthy active travel, but this isn't true for most of the UK. There are so many different people with different needs out there. Not everyone can walk or cycle to work. Public transport may be plentiful in cities, but certainly where I am, just on the outskirts, it can take a couple of hours. In fact, it would take me 2 hours to get to work was I to use it. People will always need to get about. The elderly, the disabled, people with injuries or who've maybe had surgery, they'll need to get around. Goods will need to be delivered. And lightweight electric vehicles in particular will help us to reach the goal of healthy mobility and the decarbonisation goals of government. And DFT have seen the potential for powered two-wheelers and other light vehicles. Next slide, please. So this is an extract from the DFT's Decarbonisation for Transport, a Better and Cleaner Britain 2021. This will include vehicles that probably haven't been seen on our roads before, as well as more traditional looking motorcycles, mopeds and scooters. DFT talk about innovation for transport and urban mobility, new ideas pioneered and developed and manufactured in the UK. And this is an ideal place to bring them in. Next slide, please. This is an extract from the Decarbonisation Plan, where it states the opportunities for zero emission light powered vehicles are enormous. We will build upon our existing support in this segment, such as with the plug-in motorcycle grant to benefit urban logistics and wider mobility, and to look to grow a new UK industrial supply chain. We will use Zemo's partnership with the Motorcycle Industry Association to stimulate and coordinate activity in this area, and will publish options to develop this at national and local level this year. And that's exactly what MCIA are doing, working along with Zemo, and we will be publishing that report at Motorcycle Live in December, so only a couple of weeks. But whilst we're doing this, we'll be looking at that diagram that I put up earlier for safe systems approach. We'll be using leadership, the leadership of the Department for Transport, R&D and sharing knowledge. This will come from the industry itself and from new industry that's not even started yet. We'll be looking at legislating, because we'll need to update licensing and testing as well as standards for vehicles. Monitoring will also be needed. So as we integrate these new vehicles into our transport mix, it's important that they are taken into account when considering the safe system and the Vision Zero approaches. These vehicles will have to be part of future planning if they're to be used safely and to contribute fully to decarbonisation. However, there are still many thousands of riders out there enjoying their motorcycles, mopeds and scooters now, and they must not be forgotten. So I'm sort of appealing to anyone when they're dealing with how they're going to look after their roads, whether it's locally or nationally, to consider motorcycles, mopeds, scooters and some of these new vehicles that come in. But being one to never miss an opportunity, so I'll apologise now, I'm going to go a little off topic. It won't surprise those that know me, but the opportunity to address so many road safety professionals at one time is just too good to miss. So I'm going to steal the last few minutes of my presentation to tell you a bit about a rider safety initiative for the here and now, and ask you to help if you can. Next slide, please. Don't ask me about the hashtag. I'm told we need one. I don't even know how you use one. I'm no marketeer, but Ride, Train, Repeat is the hashtag that we're using for a new campaign. There are 19 partners coming together to encourage riders to improve their skills, and to enjoy their riding, but to be aware of others and to behave responsibly. This is probably the biggest campaign of its sort ever to have been run. 19 partners, all with the same message to as many riders as possible, all pushing in the same direction to build a very, very powerful message. And it won't just stop there, because these 19 organisations will be able to reach other organisations. As an example, MCIA have over 180 member companies within the motorcycle industry. Many of those will have contacts with other companies and with the public. So hopefully by all getting together, we're going to make a big push next year to encourage more riders than ever before to come forward and to be safer, to enjoy what they're doing, and to consider the effect of the way they are enjoying their motorcycles, mopeds and scooters on the other people. We don't, too often we hear complaints about noise and irresponsible riding, and we need to get the message out to riders that this definitely isn't helping our case, and certainly doesn't help us going towards the future and developing motorcycles, scooters and mopeds to take their place as part of the transport mix. Next slide, please. So what we've actually done, we've all got together and we've developed a web portal where riders can find all the different post-test training providers in one place. No more searching from site to site, getting confused about who offers what and how you find what you're looking for. Riders all want something different. Some people want to train at weekends, some people want to train weekdays, some want to do a half day, some would like to do a whole weekend. Some people want to go out in groups and really experience the social side of rider training, mostly on rural roads. Others want to, to learn more about urban roads because that's where they're riding mostly. Some want all-round skills improvement, or maybe just cornering. And there really is something for everyone out there in the post-test training market, but you've just got to be able to find it. So what we've done is come together to deliver them all in the same place. So you'll go to one web portal and everybody will be there. We're going to start our activity promoting this at Motorcycle Live, which I mentioned earlier, which runs from the 4th to the 12th of December. Every rider who books a test ride there will be offered an assessment of their riding while they go out and try their dream machines. We'll have qualified assessors there to look at their riding and to give them some hints and tips. If they don't want that, that's fine, but they will be given a card with the web portal details and encouraged to consider booking a course to improve their skills, as will everybody that goes to the Try Ride feature. In 2022, we'll see a full launch of the scheme with all our partner organisations putting the might of their social media and marketing departments and PR together to help get the message out to riders. And while I've got you all here and you're listening to me, I'm hoping that some of you will help us to spread the word and really get this out here as the biggest national scheme ever launched to do this. There'll be plenty of helpful advice for riders and what to look for and questions to ask on the web portal as well. So we'll be able to guide them through what they need. And everyone can support this because we're not favouring a particular organisation. We're just bringing all the choices together. So if you can help promote this next year, please look out for it. I'm sure Road Safety GB will help me by getting out information as we start our planning and for the launch next year. But I'll finish up by just asking you to keep an eye out, to consider what you could do to help spread the word, and we'll be in touch later on in the year. If you have any questions about this or my interpretation of how the Safe System approach is being applied for powered two-wheelers, my email address is on here. I'll be more than happy to hear from you. Thank you for your time, and I hope some of this was interesting to you.